All right. Hey, guys, this is Mark from Boostly. You're listening to the Fearless Investor podcast with my good friend, Kyle Stanley. Keep listening to conquer the world of investing.
I believe true wealth cannot be measured by your income. It is instead measured by your availability of choices, especially the choice to live life on your terms. I also believe there are many ways to create wealth, but one thing is for certain. You have to have a laser focus on one path. My path, Airbnb. But I also believe in education and expanding your mind. Education helps you take off the blinders of life and see opportunities you never saw before. Join me on this journey of learning how to create wealth in Airbnb, real estate, and so many more investment strategies. Together, we can conquer the world of investing. My name is Kyle Stanley, and this is the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. We're talking again Airbnb today. And before we do get started in Airbnb, have you joined our Airbnb Facebook group? It's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to Facebook and type in the search Airbnb Masterminds. So much value being created on a daily basis there from just great questions. You can ask your questions and you'll get them answered by me and other experts. It's an awesome place to just get tons of value. And speaking of tons of value, today, this is a longer episode and there's a reason for it. There's just so much value that Mark Simpson is bringing in today about direct bookings and how you can stop relying on third-party OTAs like Airbnb and VRBO and Booking.com and Furnish Finders and all these places. And you can start bringing in leads yourself and literally create a business that is based on the decisions that you're making and the people that you're bringing in rather than trying to rely on another business. And I think this is just so relevant to me right now in my business because we have just now created our official direct booking site. We kind of had a faux direct booking site for a while, but this one is our legitimate direct booking site. And we're able to take these direct bookings. But this is such a powerful episode because Mark is going to show you how to be able to do that yourself. So strap in. There's a lot of resources he's going to share, a lot of tips he's going to give. And I can't wait for you to learn more about this with Mark Simpson. Hey guys, welcome into the show. And before we get to it here with Mark Simpson, I just want to ask you, can you really make money in Airbnb and good money? Because a lot of people think it seems too good to be true, but I'm here to tell you it is the real deal. You can do this business almost completely passively and without even properties that you own. And that is the crazy thing about this. That was what really clicked with me back in May of 2019. And from then, I went from 0 to 25 properties in under 18 months. That's $20,000 of net income after just 18 months of being in this business. And guess what? You can do the same. I'm giving you the path of how to master, automate, and scale an Airbnb business with properties that you don't even own. All you have to do is go to fearlesskyle.com, click on the Airbnb tab, and go to the Airbnb Kickstart course, and you can get your business started today. Now, let's get to it. This is going to be a fun episode. I've been wanting Mark on the show for a while, but Mark Simpson with Boostly, he's coming in from Spain, originally from England. Hey man, thanks for being on the show.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, awesome. So Mark, most interesting, craziest, weirdest, what is, I feel like we're going to get a good story here. So I want to know, what is your Airbnb story?
Yeah, and I was prepared. I do check out your podcast. I saw it on with Julie George. And so I did have an Airbnb, but it's a hospitality story. So my background is that I grew up on a 200-acre farm in the middle of nowhere in England. And back in the 90s, my parents turned this 200-acre farm into a very small bed and breakfast. They transformed the barn into 4 bedrooms and they created a farm stay bed and breakfast. This was like before, and now it's really popular. You see farm stays everywhere, but this is like back in the day.
Okay.
And I've always been around hospitality ever since like the age of 5, really been involved in hospitality. So we've had pretty much strangers in my house since I can remember. And, you know, because when you live in it, when you breathe in it and you're seeing it every single day for well over 30 years, you do get a lot of people come through. I mean, we've had guests come through that we became friends. You know, this is like the whole thing of hospitality and what I love about it. But funny, crazy stories. I mean, we've literally seen everything. There's a really popular British TV sitcom called Fawlty Towers. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's Monty Python's. No, so John Cleese. It's like stereotypical British comedy. But we always used to say that our hospitality business was like Faulty Towers. We had a picture of the cast up on our wall. But one story that springs to mind, and it's, when you asked me this question, it's the first one that came to picture, was we had a couple come and stay with us, an elderly couple, and they were only meant to be coming for like 2 nights. They were driving from middle of England coming up to the coast, and en route they had a car crash. Not a major car crash, but like enough to put them in hospital.
Oh, wow.
And they were really badly shook up. And both of them were suffering memory loss. They couldn't remember anything. They couldn't remember where they were staying. Luckily, in their car, they had a piece of paper, a printout of their booking confirmation. So at the hospital, and bearing in mind, they didn't have a phone on them. They didn't have anything on them. And so they couldn't contact their 2 daughters. We found out they had 2 daughters. And we got a phone call from the hospital, Scarborough Hospital, because obviously Scarborough is such a small location. Right. Everybody knows everybody. And we get a phone call saying, we've got some of your guests here. And so I think this sums up hospitality really well. And this really does sum up why people get into hospitality. We went and got them from a hospital. We brought them back.
Oh my God.
And then began 2 days of trying to figure out who they are, and more importantly, where their family were, because they only had a landline telephone number like on their booking confirmation, and they didn't really have email. You know, they called us and made the booking. So we wanted to let their family know, their 2 daughters know that that they were okay. And they kept saying they had 2 daughters, but they didn't really know their phone number. We only had a name to go off. And you know, my granddad was a policeman when he was alive. And I grew up wanting to either be a soccer player or a policeman. I love like being detective. I love like trying to find things out. And so I just went into proper on Google trying to find these daughters, and we managed to track her down. We managed to track them down in a garden center on the other end of the country after like hours and hours of searching and looking after this couple at the same time. And very luckily, she was able to get all the way from 9 hours away in the UK to come up to the farm. And we let her stay at no charge. We let the family stay for like 3 days at no extra charge. And we, for years after, still heard from this family, from this couple. And it's just those sort of memories that really stand out. So it's not overly funny, hilarious. It's just the things that hospitality owners do. I mean, obviously from the other end, we are close to 2 areas that people like to come and get drunk for a weekend. So the amount of sick, the amount of fights we've had to break up, the amount of lost things that have been left behind, the amount of unbelievable things that have been left behind. And I think any Airbnb host has had some funny things left behind that could easily be in a red light district in some areas of the world. But I mean, these are the sort of stories that hospitality owners have. And we were talking about Clubhouse beforehand. It's one of the rooms I would love to run one day would be, these hospitality stories that stick out, because when you've got people, when you've got moving parts and people, like the stories and the experiences that you get last with you forever.
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, especially when I was doing Airbnb as a room out of my house, you get like some lifelong friends, who stay there for 2 days, and before you know it, your Facebook friends, you're catching up every few months, and it's wild. That's a really heartwarming story, man, and that's really cool. It says a lot about who you are and what you've built too. So it sounds like you don't necessarily have a life before Airbnb or hospitality. It sounds like you were kind of born into it. So have you ever held any other jobs outside of hospitality?
Yeah, loads. I'm very fortunate that I've been able to travel around the world a couple of times. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I loved hospitality. I loved growing up in it. I loved being able to meet loads of people. But at the same time, in our teenage years, there's me and a group of friends, and we just wanted to do one thing, and that was escape, get out and travel. And I really wanted to be a football player, soccer player, but there's one problem: I'm not very good at soccer. So I started coaching, and I got my coaching badges, and I was really fortunate to get a job offer in America. So pretty much from 2002 to 2007, 2008, every year I'd get my H-1 visa, come over to America, coach for 5 months, and then basically be in America for 5 months and back in England for 7 months. And I did that year after year after year. And I traveled to every state. I absolutely loved it. And then after that, my buddy got out of uni. And because I didn't do uni college, I dropped off after high school. And he said, I want to go traveling. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we just booked a one-way trip to Bangkok. And that one-way trip to Bangkok lasted for 2 years, going around Australia and everywhere. Wow. And when we got to Australia, we were out of money. So we just did what every stereotypical British backpacker does and fell into bar work. So I've done hospitality work. I've done gardening. I've worked in offices. I've worked all over the place, all over the world in different sort of things, different things. But it always sort of fell back to hospitality. And so, yeah. And then in 2009, me and my buddy were back in Scarborough, back in a local pub. And we were like, this place is too small. We need to go somewhere else. So we just basically did the Dick Whittington down to London town. And that's where I fell into sales and marketing, which is like the catalyst of everything that really happened next with going back to the family business and then starting Boostly.
That's great. All right. So when does Airbnb come into this? When does the short-term rentals side come in?
Yeah. So Airbnb, I've always known of Airbnb. Actually, Airbnb purchased a company in England back in the 10s called CrashPadder. And I actually knew one of the founders of CrashPadder, which then obviously got turned into Airbnb. So when they were trying to expand outside of America. And so I've always known of Airbnb, always used it. It really started to get popular in England, probably about 2013, 2014, maybe 2015, that sort of times. And we were one of the first hospitality businesses to get listed on it, as in like a B&B. So I always like to do things a little bit differently. When everybody's zigging, I like to zag. And we've done that quite a lot. So like we'll say, we're one of the first bed and breakfasts to basically figure out how to get listed on Airbnb. When our business, The Granary, got really, really popular, 2014, 2015, we put on free holiday cottages onto our land. And we had a barn that we knocked down and converted into free holiday cottages. And that got up on there. But yeah, I have always sort of known it, used it. But now the funny thing is, with everything that I do since 2016, I've been showing hosts how they can actually get bookings and not have to rely on these guys. Because I know hosts who rely 95%, 90%, 85% on bookings coming in from Airbnb, one channel, which is dangerous, man. You know, it's really dangerous when you do that, because you're building your house on someone else's land. And so ever since 2016, it's like, as much as I know it, use it, I also say to hosts, listen, don't over rely on this. Use it as a marketing channel. Use it like a Facebook. Don't bet your house on it.
Yep, absolutely. And just to speak from personal experience on this, we grew so fast. We literally started in this business in May 2019, and it became such a growth focused business that we developed all these, systems here on Airbnb. And it wasn't until probably about 3 or 4 months ago that I was like, man, this thing is blown up. But yeah, if Airbnb, let's just call it, disappears tomorrow, I've heard of horror stories of people literally just having one bad experience with a guest, and that guest complains to Airbnb and their site is gone. And that is a scary feeling to think, holy cow, 30 plus listings can be gone like that. And so this idea of direct booking, it really, in my mind, Mark, like, let's just call a spade a spade. If you're running it on Airbnb, you're running not your business, you're running someone else's business, because you're paying Airbnb and they don't need you. If you have thousands of units, maybe they need you, but when you've got 30 units, they're like, I got another 15,000 of you around the US. One of you is not going to make a difference. You're out of here. So we need to take control of our businesses. And I think it's awesome what you're doing with Boostly to be able to help people do that. So where was that desire to want to start something like Boostly to get these direct bookings? Did you have that moment where you're like, I got to take control of my business?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it wasn't a case of our business, because because of what I learned in London doing the sales and marketing, I really quickly learned the power of social media, learned the power of things like review websites. Like TripAdvisor was the big dog back then. I mean, it's not so much now, but it was back then. Everybody, before they booked any holiday, they'd go to TripAdvisor to see a review. And I learned about the power of obviously Google and SEO and email marketing. And, you know, even though I was in the sales department of QYPE, but it was later purchased by Yelp. I was always just geeking out in the marketing department, just looking at what they were doing, look at what was going on. And, you know, I'm a big soccer fan. So I started going on podcasts for like Liverpool football fans and whatnot. And again, just watching what content creators were doing. And it was just always something at the back of my mind. And so when I moved back to the family business, me and my wife and my eldest, who was 1-2 at the time, now he's 8. My role was basically to get the family online, because the business, even though it'd been going for 25 years, it was still being run by pen and paper. It was crazy. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And this is a 14-bedroom guest house at this point, tea rooms, restaurant, you know, it's full on. And it's just, you know, that my parents didn't know any better. And this is 2010, 2011, you know, and I know now it's like 1,000 PMSs, channel manager, but like back then they didn't really know. So my job was to get it all online, get a Facebook, get a social media. And within 18 months of just basically applying those skills that I learned in London, and learning myself as like scrappy as we were going along, we're able to grow to the top 3 rated business in TripAdvisor. We're able to get to the biggest independently local business followed business on Facebook. And so many of our bookings will come in direct because we took that offline word of mouth online. And there's loads of tactics and tips and the things that I've done and learned over the years that I've applied with the granary, with the hospitality business, and now apply it with Boostly. But the moment really was, as the granary got really, really popular, our goal was to sell it at the end of the day. We came into the business, my parents have been doing it for 25 years. They wanted to sell it, be able to retire. So we wanted to come in to help them grow that. So we added on like a wedding venue, wedding license, cottages, you know, everything to really add the value to the business, just like Julie George we're talking about the other day. And so when it came to the point of it grew so much, and I was still doing everything, you know, I'm father of 2 kids at this point, still doing everything. So someone handed me the Tim Ferriss book, 4-Hour Work Week, read it, loved it, adored it, learned the power of outsourcing, was able to hire outsourcers to be able to help me take some of the chores off my back. And then I had this free time. So I started to go to local business networking meetings for the tourism in the area. And at these meetings with maybe 100 hospitality owners. Where I'm from in the UK is a very popular seaside resort called Scarborough. 1 in every 3 businesses is like some form of hospitality in some way, shape or form. And at these local meetings, hosts were complaining about bookings that were coming in from online travel agents, Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia. You know, those are the big 3, the Expedia group, Booking Holidays and Airbnb. They're the big 3. They pretty much own everything, Verbo, etc. And they're just complaining about how, again, we're dictated by their rules. You got to play in their sandpit. The commission you have to pay. And I just, at the back of the room, didn't really know anybody, just put my hand up saying, well, what are you doing to bring your own bookings in? And everybody just looked at me with a blank expression. I was like, okay. So I said, well, how about this? I will put on a little mini like class at the end of like evening meal one night at the granary. Could just come up 8-9 o'clock. I'll run you through 5 things that I've done, and you might be able to do it as well. And out of 100 people, like 4 or 5 people put their hand up. Out of the 100 people there, 4 or 5 people put their hand up. And so they were the 5 people I first ever taught doing this. And I looked around to see who was helping. And there were marketing agencies, but they were charging 12 grand a year. And it weren't specialized in hospitality. And there were some coaches, but they were talking really outdated stuff. And I was like, this can't be it, you know. And I went to the local tourism, and they were like telling you what to do, not how to do it. And I was like, this is shit, you know. Like, come on, there's got to be somebody out there. And I just thought, well, if no one's going to do it, I will. And at the same time, that light bulb moment was, the farm was about to get put up for sale, and me and my wife were talking, well, what we're going to do next. You know, we wanted to get traveling because both me and my wife love traveling. Like before I met her, she traveled all over the world. She was born in Johannesburg, lived in Saudi for 2 years with her parents. And so we wanted to travel. And that's where the idea of Boostly came. My wife actually came up with the name Boost Hospitality, and I just shortened it to Boostly. And the idea was that I would just give tactics and training and advice on how guests could get their own direct bookings. And it's just simple tips that don't cost any money to do, And it's using the power of social media, using the power of word of mouth, using the power of Google to just get people to book with you directly and to make the OTAs work for you and not the other way around. And that was like the big moment when I realized that so many people were over relying. And the more I've dug into this rabbit hole and the more I've gone down it, and the more that I've, like I say, started to discover more people in America, like because of Clubhouse, my name's getting spread around America a lot more now. And the amount of people that are massively over relying, it worries me, you know, because I saw last March 2020, this time last year, was one day, Airbnb, you just woke up and I've got a group called the Hospitality Community Facebook group. It's the most engaged group for hospitality owners all over the world. It's like 92% engagement, 6,000 people in it. And I've created that 2016, and every day I show up and give some little bit of advice in some way, shape or form. And we built a real cool community. And I remember waking up that day and there was posts and posts and posts, and it was screen grabs of the email that Airbnb sent out to everybody. Yeah. Like not just, you know, you remember it, not just guests, but hosts as well, saying, listen, I don't care what the cancellation policy is. You can cancel your stay for free right now. And without any warning to the hosts at all, they just did that. And everybody got it. They got a notification on their phone and it was just bananas. And obviously what happened and resulted in that was cancellations. Now I've been saying since 2016, don't build your house on someone else's land. Anything could happen. The examples that you gave, Airbnb could shut your portfolio down. You could get a couple of really bad reviews. You could get your account could get hacked into X, Y, or Z. I wasn't planning or predicting a global pandemic, but
no one was.
No one was. But the problem is that so many people were affected and so many people lost everything. Now, I've said this story a lot of times, and that's that Thanos click that we talked about. Now, I've said this story loads of time, and the big response back is, yeah, but Mark, just because people book direct doesn't mean there weren't cancellations. And no, I get that. We had cancellations massively, but you get one thing that you don't get with what Airbnb is that we had the power to pick up the phone and reach out to our guests and call them. A human conversation, one-on-one, and just say, hey, Kyle, I know you've booked to come stay with us in April. Obviously, you can't come and stay with the lockdown and everything. Now, you know, let's move your dates to November, December, etc., so you can come and stay with us. Obviously, you want to come and stay, and we'd love for you to come and stay with us. If you really need the money, we'll give you it back. But, you know, we want to make sure this business is here at the back end. Like
there was way more solutions or options that could have been given rather than just you have to cancel. Yeah.
And Airbnb have admitted this. And this is why now, after the IPO, Brian Chesky's doing this big PR run saying it's all about the host. You know, it's all about the host. It's not. It's not. As soon as you go IPO and you've got stake and shareholders, it's not about the hosts. They just care about one thing and one thing only. But they've got to now go back and do this big PR stunt with the TV ads and all of that spiel, and they've admitted they made a mistake, and this is why. And it was bitter because everything that happened, but the sweet is that I see so many people now in Facebook groups all over talking, particularly in America, particularly in Airbnb focus groups, saying, okay, so what's this thing called a channel manager? What's this thing called a PMS? What's this thing called Verbo? I've heard about this thing called Verbo. And then people are thinking about multi-channels and getting websites. So that is the sweet for me, because this whole direct booking message that I'm spreading, and I've got some really big goals. I've got a big goal by 2040. I'm going to help 1 million hosts increase their direct bookings and get them to cut down on their over-reliance on these guys. So then eventually we can have a seat at the table and we can get them to listen to us. And so, yeah, I'm basically just really stuck in this rabbit hole now, whether I like it or not. I'm just going gung-ho and just helping hosts with direct bookings.
Okay, that's so good, man. I mean, holy cow, there's so many things I can ask, but I know the number one question on people's minds is, the people that are listening right now, they're those 4 or 5 people in that room of 100 that raised their hand and got to go talk to you one-on-one. What did you share with that group? What can you share with this group today that can help them get started on getting more direct bookings?
No, absolutely. It's a great question, actually. And the cool thing is that the same thing that I taught way back when is the same. So if you go to booster.co.uk, there's a little thing at the top that just says, my 5 tactics and tips to increasing your direct bookings. Those same 5 tips are the same ones that I gave all those years ago. So just pop your email in and you'll get a little email that gives you 5 videos, unlisted videos. And I've updated and tweaked them over the years, but it focuses on 5 key areas. So number 1 is email. which is really important. Anybody who has got an email list and is actively using it knows what I mean by this. And there was a very recent blog by Neil Patel, and Neil Patel's got his finger on the pulse on a lot of things. And he said that with the current trends and the stats that are coming out, email marketing is making a renaissance. It's having a second wind, because it always has, it always is, and it always will be one of the most powerful forms of marketing, because number one, it's free, which is nice. MailChimp.com, free. And you get a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with the reader. Now, as long as you structure your email correctly and you don't make it spammy or sleazy or salesy or make it look like a radio ad, like a sales magazine ad, then it's a fantastic way. And I've taught email marketing to my students, Boothly Academy members, and there's one specific thing that I teach them, and everybody listening to this can go and do this right now. In January, every year, the first week after New Year's is that travel planning gold. Even this year, it's basically everybody shakes the hangover off and goes, right, where we're going on holiday this year. And they start to look around and places to book. So what I get my guys to do is I get them to go into their PMS, their channel manager, and I get them to look at the dates for 2021, 2022, whenever it is. And I just say, right, close off all of those dates in your calendar to the OTAs that you know that you could sell 3 or 4 or 5 times over. You know what I mean? Like big events or, bank holiday weekends, Labor Day weekends, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
You could sell them even in COVID times, like 3 or 4 or 5 times over. So I say, close them off to the OTAs. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go into your email list, MailChimp.com. And it doesn't matter whether you've got 2 people on there or 2,000 people on there. You can send out an email to everybody just saying, hey, everybody, this is Mark from the Granary here. We're really looking forward to this year. We're really looking forward to welcome you to come and see us. Just to let you know, these are our important dates. June the 1st, July the 1st, et cetera, et cetera. Just to let you know, you can only book them directly with us. We've closed them off to the OTAs and it's first come, first serve. All you need to do, here's my cell number, here's our booking link, or you can email me back and ask them questions and we can get you booked in. We had people do that, and within 48 hours of sending that email out, they had thousands, like 4 figures return on investment on direct bookings. It really sets the year up nicely. And that's something you can do at any point, at any time. It's really simple to do. And now if you compare that to putting a post out on social media, you put a post out on social media and 0.8% of your followers will see it because Facebook strangles the reach. LinkedIn at the moment is the best organic reach that you're going to get. But again, they're still strangling it because at the end of the day, they want you to give them money. You got to pay to play. Sure. You can pay to get that ad out on Facebook, etc. But Facebook, since the elections, have gone absolute batshit crazy by banning so many ads accounts. It's ridiculous. I've had my ads account banned, from doing nothing. So you don't know if it's going to get seen or seen by the right people. But with an email list, it's fantastic, phenomenal, and again, it's free. MailChimp.com is free up to 2,000 subscribers. So it's really easy to get going. It's really good to get going. So that's one of the videos. The other one is Google. So Google, you got to treat Google like your homepage of your website. And there's some specific training I show you on how to do that. Because, and I think so many hosts, and especially hosts that are doing this well, they discredit this. But if you're using Airbnb correctly, your bio, your profile on Airbnb should start off by saying, hi, I'm Carl. I'm the founder of, insert your brand of your business. So whatever that may be. Or, hi, I'm Mark. I'm the manager and founder of The Granary. Because when somebody still goes on Airbnb now, they'll see your one unit and they'll think that you'll only have that one unit. Oh, yeah. Because they don't know the ecosystem of how all this malarkey works. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't brand yourself as being like a property manager or however you want to play it, then they won't know that. But if you put, hey, I'm Mark of Simpson Homes or whatever you want to call it, don't discredit the fact that they will go and do a Google search for you. Danny Roosting from Optimize My B&B, I know him well, and he's got this really little spiel about how you go, I'm Danny from da-da-da-da, go and check out my reviews. They are rather good, and it just puts the psychological edge into them to then go and run a Google search. And when they run the Google search for your name, now Airbnb and Booking.com and everybody, we're not daft, we're not daft at this. Right. So when you sign the contract that nobody reads to get listed on these channels, what you, in the contract, it states that they can bid on your brand, on your business name, on Google, because they're not daft. They know people are going to do this. So what happens is if that guest goes and Googles your business name, your brand name, Booking.com are hijacking your brand name, Airbnb, Verbo, wherever you're listed. And so it brings them straight back into the ecosystem. So what I do is I just show a real cool little tip on how you can bid on your own brand name, and you can actually get higher on the ranking on Google by literally doing that. And it costs pennies to the pound because of the way that I show it. So that's Google, that's email. Number 3 is your website. You've got to have a website.
Absolutely.
You've got to have a website, even if you just use it as a branding play, just to show that you're a proper company. Because there's so many scammy fake Airbnbs out there, and guests get absolutely stung by this. You've got to have, especially if you want to grow, you know, if anybody's tried to grow a portfolio and you've gone to, say, a landlord or an estate agent or whoever, a real estater, and they'll go, hey, you know, I'm Mark from da-da-da-da. I say, yeah, nice one, Sam. Leave me some information. It's like, if you give them a website or you haven't got a website, then again, you got to stand out. You got to look the part. You know what I mean? And so a website is key to that. So again, I show you how to structure a website. You know, we at Boostly split into 3 areas. One is website design, content creation, and training. Our website side of the business, if we're going to do a 60-30-10, the website side now is 60% of what we do. So many people are coming to us for websites because they're stuck. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to go to. So
I'll be honest, that was exactly why I didn't make a direct booking site until recently, is I just didn't know where to go. And the thought of making 30 different listings on a website was just like that sounded like a full-time job. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So in that training, what I do is I show you how to layer your home site. Basically, there's a very strict structure and a wireframe you need to follow, because again, you can't just brain fart your information onto a page, because a guest will get confused. And as anybody who's read The Story Brand by Donald Miller, if you confuse, you lose. So we've really structured a very specific how a website should look, and it flows really nicely and it ticks off all the boxes. So number 1, getting reviews on there. Number 2, a real good headline and image at the top. Number 3, you got to make sure that it's built for mobile and all that jazz. So again, that's the 3rd piece of training that I walk people through. And then the other 2 is social media. Social media is so powerful. Facebook groups. I mean, Facebook groups has been one of the biggest marketing tactics in 2020, because so many people were using Facebook because they were locked up in their houses, no places to go. And the first place to go is just social media. Facebook groups is the big thing that Facebook wants you to go to, because if you look at all the other social media channels, the one thing that TikTok hasn't got, that Instagram hasn't got, that Clubhouse hasn't got, has got like a group discussion atmosphere. And so Facebook are really making a play for it, because they know that businesses are making big money from groups, and it's free. You know, and Facebook want a piece of that pie. They are figuring out now. They've got teams upon teams upon teams trying to figure out how they can monetize it, and they are to an extent with fans and whatnot. You know, so basically, Facebook groups is a really powerful place if you do it right. If you go in there and you don't be, again, sales and spammy and sleazy, but you go in and supply help and content and, you know, advice, then you'll become the go-to. So that's a piece of training that it's called the go-to. And I'm writing my first book this year, and becoming the go-to is a big chunk of that book, because it covers, if you can crack that, you will have people knocking on your door wanting to do business with you, wanting to come and stay with you, wanting to grow your portfolio by becoming the go-to guy or gal. And the cool thing is it only takes 5 or 10 minutes a day on social media to do. And the final one, and it's the one that I love, and it's the one that I can attribute to any business, is relationships. Any business, the key to any successful business isn't so much what you know, it's who you know. And anybody right now can pick up their phone and they can pretty much text. You hold text from phone book, and you could ask a question. Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone that wants to sublet out their property, or like rent out their property? Or do you know anybody who's coming to town and needs a place to stay? Guarantee you will be at least one person that will turn around and go, oh yeah, I actually do. And here's a number. If you do that, and it will actually bring you in bookings or bring you in new properties to grow your business. And again, there's that training in it. So it all focuses down on those 5 things. And I've been offering that out as a free little guide, a free little download, so to speak, since 2016. And over 100,000 people have downloaded it. I'm a massive fan of action takers. And unfortunately, I reckon about less than a third of those have actually taken action, because I do really, one of the reasons why I get so much stuff done is because I just take action. And anybody who comes into my world, I said, like, you're going to love and hate me. You're going to love me at the results, but you're going to hate me because of what I make you do and how I make you, get this work done. Don't just like, there's so much free stuff out there, so much free courses and everything, especially with COVID. Everybody now has got some sort of free download and whatnot. And people just love to scoop up and hover up all the free stuff. But I'm like, no, like, you get something, you listen to a podcast or you watch a podcast, you watch a video, you get a free guide, and just take one thing and action it into your business right now. And that's all I ask from everybody. And the cool thing is that, like, there's people out there like yourself, you've grown a business, you've shown how it's done, and it's like you're laying it out for everybody. And it's like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Just go and find people that have done it well, and take what they're giving you and then put it into practice. You know what I mean? And if one thing doesn't work, then go and try something else. And because again, the proof is in the pudding. Success leaves clues. So that's the 5 things. And again, it's super powerful.
I love it. I love it. Taking action it's just so funny, man, how I see it too. Even if people don't get something for free, if they download my course, and they pay, a little bit of money, and they don't take the action, there's a lot more people that do take action than don't. But the ones that don't take the action, I'm like, man, like, all you have to do is this exact formula. Like, it is not something you have to reinvent. Now, one question I have from those 5 things is, how are you collecting emails? Because Airbnb removed that from the data that people are doing. So I'm curious.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So like I say, I do like to be like sneaky and cheeky, and I do like to bend the rules and like figure out these things. So I've spent years like guinea pigging this. Again, I'm a massive Tim Ferriss fanboy, who's a self-proclaimed guinea pig himself. He likes to test things, and I like to do the same in the world of hospitality. So there's some really cool tech that can help you. For example, Smart B&B with the text messaging, the messaging and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So you can still get messages out there, but the trick is to get them into your land as soon as possible. And there's 1 or 2 ways. So number 1, you can do it pre-stay. So now what you'll find is that there are a load of really cool tech coming along that will identify the guest verification, like Superhog. In the UK, I know it's really popular. So basically what they'll do after the point of booking, the guest then has to go and verify them. So they say who they are for like health and safety and So you're not going to come and do a party in the property. And then at that point, what you can do when you're doing that process is you can put a little email sign up form there. So again, you start sort of putting the idea in their head that they can sign up for an email. And you've got to do it and incentivize it. You can't just call it sign up to my newsletter, because that's just, no one sign up to a newsletter. No. It's not 90s anymore. So you've got to intrigue them. So a good example would be, again, family based in Scarborough. So would you like my top 11 favorite places to go in Scarborough? That you can go and get discounts at and go check out, eat and whatnot. Get like the guide from the host.
Yeah, the lead magnet.
Sounds appealing. A lead magnet sounds very appealing. And so that's number 1 way you can do that. Now, the second way, digital guidebook. Hostfully, Touchday, fantastic companies. Digital guidebook. You can create a digital guidebook for free with Hostfully. And again, part of the automated messages that go out. I mean, even Airbnb are offering automated messages now. I mean, it's crap, but at least they're offering it.
Right.
But like, again, you can put the link in there saying, hey, Kyle, really looking forward to you come and stay on insert date, on insert time. Here's a link to our digital guidebook. All the questions that you've got are in there. And again, in the digital guidebook, you can put in about the would you like to get the 10 guides? The whole goal of this is to take people off Airbnb as soon as possible. And it's the same for any marketing channel. The goal with Facebook is to get people off Facebook as soon as possible. And then the other thing that I do, 2 more things, and you can try any of these, 2 more things. There's a really cool company called StayFi. Which is basically Wi-Fi access, but you've got to give your email address up to get onto the Wi-Fi.
Right.
So again, StayFi, It's a growing company. I tested this kind of software in 2013 and it was rubbish. It was awful. But StayFi are coming back now and they've made it smoother, easier to use. So yeah, StayFi, really cool. So again, it's like, you want to use Wi-Fi because everybody wants to use Wi-Fi. I guarantee one member of your party. I mean, I've got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. The first thing that they ask when they come into a property with their little iPad is, have you got Wi-Fi? I want to watch YouTube. You know, it's like, it's one of them, or Pokemon, or whatever the latest thing is. So again, give up your email for Wi-Fi. That's how you get them on the list. And then the final one, which is the most simplest one that everybody can do right now, and it doesn't cost any money. You can go and create QR codes for free on the internet. Create a QR code and direct it to your email sign-up form. And what you'll do is you'll print off that QR code, you'll laminate it, and you'll stick it on the back of your door in your rentals. So you can stick it on the back of the door entrance. You can stick it on the back of the kitchen. You can put it on your fridge, put it back of the bedrooms. Wherever you want to put it with a nice little message, just saying what I said to you. Would you like my top 11 favorite places to check out whilst you're staying in the area? Scan this code. The cool thing about these phones now is that you can just hold it up to it and it scans it and it takes you straight to the page.
So easy.
So again, you go up, put the Wi-Fi in, and you know, you can try any one of them, and I guarantee you will get people signing up to your email list. The trick is, what do you send them? What do you do next? Which is where so many people fall down on, because they just don't know what to send on emails.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're kind of running out of time here, but I am curious, you know, maybe use this as a way to just critique me. Honestly, my email list, I just send people, I send it out as the mass email, but it's, you know, of course, going to have their first name put in there. And I just treat it like a regular follow-up conversation. Hey, how you doing? Are you coming to Fresno again anytime soon? Here's a link to our listings that are available. Let me know what you're coming into town for and how I can be of help. And that's literally all I say. And we've gotten a pretty good response from that.
Well, that's good. That's good, because again, I think it's very easy for everybody to think that everybody knows everything that you're doing in business and how everything works. But I'd say that 80% of your guests don't realize that in emails, you've got the ability to add in a little bit of code that pulls in their first name.
Right.
And so they think that you're sending them a personal email every time, when you know that you're sending that to 200, 300, 400, 500 people. You know, it's mass email, but it's not, because they think it's a personal one. So that's like, personalization in email is super important. And that's a nice one. That's something that should be automated a month after checkout. And you can easily do that in all of the PMSs and the channel managers now. But the main thing to do, and this is really important, is to not look at email as in, I'm going to get bookings or sales from this. I'm not going to, you know, if you go onto MailChimp, and this is the thing that annoys me with MailChimp, all of the templates that they show you are glossy magazine type ad templates. Right at the very bottom, it's like the ugly duckling is
text,
plain text.
Yeah, that's what I use too. Yep.
Now look at your emails, right? Look at your inbox right now. If I open up an email, before I even have a chance to read it, if it looks like anything like a glossy magazine, it goes straight into the spam folder.
Yep.
The ones that I read, the ones that I respond to, are the ones that look like a plain, normal email. First things first, that's what you do. Secondly, you just write like you're writing to a long lost pen pal. Because again, people buy from people. People love stories. So again, when you're doing an email, and you can just talk about what has been going on in your local area. You could be talking about what has been happening in the business. You can talk about what's been going on. I mean, if you hate the prospect of that, go to upwork.com, go to fiverr.com. You'll find a copywriter who's an expert in this, and they will learn your business, and they will send these for you. One of the simplest things that I have done for years is I just send people back to our social media pages, social media posts that have done quite well. So if there's a particular post that's gone out on our social media, Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, etc., and it got like a bit of traction, like, you know, a couple of likes, comments and whatnot, then I would construct an email and just go, oh, this really funny thing happened on the farm, for example. You know, we've had like new cows, and one of the cows, we called it Daisy, and it escaped, and we took a picture and we put it up on social media, and it got a lot of fun. Let us know in the comments what you think. And again, you're killing two birds with one stone here. Number one, you're sending an email out, which is mint because nobody else is doing it. Number two, it's not selling anything. Number three, you're getting a click on that email. So basically, you got to treat email like a social media algorithm. In your Gmail inbox right now, you'll see that tab called promotions.
Right.
Your email, if you've got an email account and you've got 1,000 emails on your list and you send an email out and only out of 1,000, say 10 people open it, then your email is going to be hitting that promotions tab. It's going to be never be seen. But if you can send an email out and you can get engagement in it, for example, a reply or a click, then that Gmail provider is going to be like, oh, info@boostly.co.uk is actually a decent email account. It's got a lot of good karma and juice behind it. It's going to go into the inbox. So that's what you need to be doing. So number two, you're getting the email juices going. And then number four, you're driving people back to your social media channel, getting more likes, more comments, more engagement on there. So then you get the social media juice as well. That email takes less than a minute, 2 minutes to put together. You just got to remember maybe a good social media post, and you can go into your insights to see that. If you haven't had any good social media posts, then go and find one in your area. Go and find like a post that you've seen that's relevant in the area. It could be like an event that's coming up, or it could be a big bit of news or X, Y, and Z. And people love to read that. Don't think that they don't want to read that, because again, people have come to stay in your area for a reason, whether it's work, business, pleasure, whatever. And again, they love that. Yeah. And if you look at your email list right now, 99% of the stuff will be in there trying to use you to buy something in some way, shape, or form. So when everybody's zigging, if you zag, you will stand out, you will get opens and replies. And like I said at the start, out of every form of marketing, it's the only one that you get one-on-one communication with. If you put a post up on social media, ton of noise. If you post up on Instagram, there's a ton of noise. Even if you look at booking.com and Airbnb, when you're if someone lands on your Airbnb listing, straight away, Airbnb are going, this is all right, but take a look at all of these. You know what I mean? There's tons of noise. But with email, as long as you do it right, you've got that one-on-one communication, and it's phenomenally powerful.
So good. So good. Mark, we've gone over on time, but the amount of value that you've just brought is so worth it. So people want to learn more, go to Boostly. Where can they go?
Yeah, boostly.co.uk. So boostly.co.uk. Go and grab that 5-step guide and then go and implement it, whatever you do. Otherwise, I'll be finding you. I'll hunt you down. Or just come and say hi on Instagram. It's @BoostlyUK. I love Instagram. I love spending my time on there, putting up posts and stories every day. And or in the clubhouse. Come and find us in the clubhouse. It's @Mr. Mark Simpson on the clubhouse. But yeah, one of those 3 places. Come and say hi.
Awesome. Mark, you are the man. Thank you so much for joining us and helping our audience to conquer the world of marketing, investing, Airbnb, direct booking, everything, man. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, show notes for this one, fearlesskyle.com/Boostly, BOOSTLY. And I mean, all you got to do is just go over there. Go to boostly.com, right? Or .co.uk. I think that was, we're going to have the link in the show notes. But that, just so much information, so much good stuff. And you need to control your business. That's the biggest thing here, right? You have to take control of your business. You have to own your customers. And by relying on third-party companies, yeah, it's a great place to start, but it's not where you want to be for all of your bookings, or the majority of your bookings even. And that's a place that in my business, I'm learning and developing as well. So it's exciting to get around people like this and know what they're doing so that I can learn. And then in the process, you guys learn as well. So I hope you just got tons of value and the know-how to be able to go out and create your direct bookings on Airbnb. And I hope today that you were able to conquer the world of investing. And that's going to do it here for the Fearless Investor Podcast. We'll see you next time.